Bob.
Good afternoon.
I knew you were there.
Why, could you hear the monkeys in the trees?
No, you always like to play little
games?
Games. It's a game kind of a day.
I'm having a great day.
It has been a wonderful day.
Today was option expiration for gold and silver. Hold on a second here.
And the market did very well.
Okay. 6. Okay, I got the new prices. June gold. 15.25.70, up $2. July silver, 37.86, up 124. Okay? Now, this is really good yesterday and today because those options are expiring and the commercials try to drive the price of gold and silver down in the 2 or 3 days and during the option expiration day. And they weren't successful in doing that, which means that there were a lot of buyers in the market. It's especially important with silver, 37.86, which is the active month, July. And gold moved a little higher, up $2. And we still got 50 minutes to go on those contracts. And then we go to the access market. But anyway, it was a very good day. The market was up a bit, 38 points. But that's more often than not, it's U.S. government. And gold did pretty good overnight as well. I started picking it up this morning at around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. It was up 340, 450, in that range until we went to 630 on the opening. Actually, in the opening, it was up 450, and silver was up 123. So there's plenty of buying going on in Asia. And they're not going to stop the Chinese. They're going to dump dollars until they can't. They don't have any more. And they've been doing that for a couple of years, but the significance of them purchasing treasuries now is full bore, because in 5 months they haven't bought any. And they're using treasury sale receipts to buy commodities and gold and silver and companies and drill oil wells in Libya and things like that. So we're seeing a slow jettisoning of the dollar by many countries. Thailand bought gold, and Mexico bought almost 100 tons. And those are significant events. And so I think that we're going to continue to see upward movement in gold and silver and the shares. Shares did well today again. And I think that people who are not in these gold, silver-related markets that have money are going to be very, very unhappy. Because once the market breaks, which will probably happen in the fall, although I don't think it'll go anywhere. It could go down before the fall, but I think it's going to get hit in September and October. And I think real interest rates are going to rise. And when that happens, there'll only be one place to go, commodities and gold and silver. And that's the way it's going to be. And so I think people know what they should do. I just wish that other newsletter writers and commentators had the depth of knowledge to tell people what is really going on, and that they'd be able to try to get people into gold and silver related assets. Most of them are trying to trade people back and forth. As a matter of fact, there is something that really disturbs me, and that is letter writers charging people to buy a stock, like racetrack touts. We've got Stansbury, and these reports I got from subscribers, charging $3,500 for their hot stock and $1,495 for several stocks. And NIA, which is the National Inflation Association, they charge $1,000 for their hot stock, and they're always pushing other stocks. In fact, there's a report out by another commentator which is very critical of them. And then we have John Duty, who charges $500 to give people the hot stock. And that disturbs me as a professional. I mean, we're here to help people. There's enough money that we can make money. And we don't have to do things like that. And so, as far as I'm concerned, any stocks you want, any advice you want, we'll give it to you. Me in that sphere, Melody in the sphere of coins and bullion. And don't be suckers. Don't pay these people for something they don't know anything about. They're just hustlers. And the first two, been around for several years. The Duty's been around for years, and he shouldn't be doing that. In fact, I have an SEC attorney checking right now to see if it's legal for him to do that. I am appalled. So don't buy their garbage. You know what always comes up as a question is the company that they're recommending paying them to do that? And if the company is, have they announced that? That comes under SEC rules and guidelines. And so that's the kind of things that are going on out there. So you got to be very careful. Just like buying coins, I've been doing it since 1960. And almost everybody I ever met was a crook. And incidentally, in the stock brokerage business, 85% of the brokers that I ran into over a period of 52 years were crooks. That's why I do what I do, to give people a shot at making money, and that's why I don't take anything from anybody, and neither does any member of my family.
You know what, Bob? It's the same way with coins. I don't understand it either. The first thing people should do is really shop around. And I suppose if people look long and hard enough, they could probably find somebody that has prices lower than mine. But I'll tell you what, then you have to question the liability of them, their ability to ship, how quick they ship, and, everything else goes into question when you can find prices lower than mine. And, how do they do business? And yet people still go back and they just don't care anymore. And I just don't understand. I mean, it's one thing to support, but it's another to get as much as you can for your dollars and to get the right product for what's suitable for people. And when I see some portfolios of what people own in gold and silver, it just amazes me. Then when I figure out what the people made, the commissions that these people have made just amazes me. I could have retired 40 times if I charged what these people, other dealers, charged. I'd be living in the
same thing goes on with the stocks, the kickbacks, and I can't imagine. I've never heard until just recently of newsletter writers charging people for their hot stock. It's like a racetrack tout. Unbelievable. Don't be sucked in by them. And when you buy coins, if you want to get comparative prices, that's fine. But you'll find every time the melody will be there, cheaper, maybe a little bit more expensive. It all depends on what day you're buying, whatever.
I'm very rarely with my competitors ever more expensive. But, with the Internet, there's 5,000 dealers across the country. I'd be silly to say I'm the cheapest of them all. So if you look long and hard enough, like I said, but again, then you have to question, well, if they can do it cheaper than me, then what are they compromising on? So, and just...
Well, I brought it up because the NIA Stansbury thing has been going on for about 6 months, and it's their programs are very similar to what other letter writers have done for years. They call them back-end deals. And what you do is you come out with something very good and interesting, whether it's a telephone, radio conversation, or a tape that's been made about what's going to happen. And usually the research is decent. And what they do is they say, we're going to send you a free newsletter, and they send it, and then somebody gets in touch with you either by email or calls and says, look, we got this hot stock. I mean, what would they know about stocks? It just baffles me that they can legally do something like that, and I've contacted an attorney today.
Well,
and I'm going to find out what they can and they can't do.
And with the Internet, too, you have to be careful. I had one of my clients call me a couple of weeks ago, and he said to me, was your client list compromised? I said, absolutely not. I said, we don't even put them in a computer. There's no way they could be compromised. He says, well, I had a strange phone call about someone calling me and asking, he said, my wife answered the phone, and they asked her if they could speak to the one who handles the gold coin purchasing. And, that they had this special and blah, blah, blah. Well, she was taken a little off guard and really didn't know what to say and so forth. So, they said, well, we'll try and call back. And, of course, the number was blocked. Now, he called me and he says, well, you're the only one that, in all my years that I've been buying, he says, you're the only one that I've ever bought, inquired, or done anything with. He says, I don't even talk to anybody else. So he was baffled. So, I said, well, maybe you were on the Internet. Maybe you requested, some other type of, who knows? And your name could have gotten passed through that way. So, folks, that computer is not, safe. And, he's waiting for this person to call back to find out exactly who he was with and so forth. And plus, not only that, sometimes you have people who work in gold companies and they leave and they end up stealing the client list, and so then all of a sudden they have a duplicate. Well, that hasn't happened here, but, that can happen. So, you have to be very careful out there. And please don't tell people what you have on your phone when they ask you if, you own any gold coins. You say no, 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 and hang up. Don't even say no. You just hang up.
Because, they could set people up to rob you as well. Unsolicited phone calls, you don't do it. And I even get them in foreign countries where I live, and they start asking questions, and I just hang up. And sometimes they call back 6 or 7 times, and I just pick it up and drop it back, and, finally they get bored with calling and find somebody else. And they're just calling off phone numbers. That's all they're doing. But in the instance that the gentleman was talking about, he would have applied for something. And they keep data lists of people.
Mm-hmm.
and they sell them. I mean, one of the good things about being outside the country, and our server is in another country, not in the United States. So for anybody to access anything, it's impossible. And all we have is current subscribers and those for the last year who have dropped out. And that's it. People will send us emails and say, well, you have my credit card on file. And we have to write back and say, we don't keep anybody's credit card on file.
No, we just...
The minute the thing is run through, it disappears. Yeah. We don't want anybody to know anything about you.
And that's what we do. That's what my clients say that use their credit cards. I say, no, we don't keep it. We destroy it. We feed it through that shredder. So you have to give it to me every time. Yes, I know it's a pain, but...
Well, it's not that much of a pain. My goodness gracious.
No, it isn't, but that's, we've just become so accustomed to so many businesses keeping these records. Sometimes they only have to plug in your telephone number, and sometimes the whole massive, history of you come up and so forth. So,
they've got Bill Key on CNBC at this moment interviewing Ron Paul, and of course he's all for QE3, and Ron's handing him his head, and unbelievable. It's a wonder Ron gets on any television programs at all. And he's a leading contender for the Republican nomination for the presidency. And incidentally, he has a birth certificate as well as a certificate of live birth.
Yes.
I have two questions here. And the first one, the government is not going to sell any more shares in General Motors, and at the moment. And the reason for that is that the hedge funds that had bought the stock front ran the U.S. government when they wanted to sell. And in other words, they sold the stock that they had before the government had a chance to do it. And that's why that happened. And these are the same hedge funds that work with the U.S. government. I guess the comment is no honor among thieves. Second question from this gentleman, Gary. Do you think the U.S. Treasury staff quoted know something about QE3? Well, of course they do. Everybody in Beltway knows there's going to be a QE3, whatever they call it. Why do you think the stock market went up? And they think they're going to get their debt extension. They probably will. And then inflation will rage even higher. All they're doing is kicking the can down the road. That's all they're doing. Next question from Susan. One that would be put on her site, Melody's site, as I listen via internet. The question: I have spent a lot of time in France and lived there and read French news on the internet every day. How did you get to know Jean-Marie Le Pen and his family? And I had friends in Europe who knew him. And they said, this is somebody that you should meet. You have a lot in common. And Jean-Marie does not speak English. So it was a little difficult because I spoke French okay, but the Parisians, and he's lived in Paris or thereabouts for a long time. He now lives in Provence, which is near Cannes. And so he spoke very fast. And women speak even faster. But we got along okay. And when anything was in question, his daughter, who speaks English, she was 19 then, when we first met her, would stick her head and say, well, he means this, and so on. But anyway, we became friends through mutual friends. And we spent a lot of time in Paris. Their home at that time was in Saint-Cloud, and which is outside Paris. And they have a big racetrack there, and which the area is known for. But that's how I met them.
Would you like to comment on the $250,000 severance pay that Strauss-Kahn is going to be receiving from the U.S. taxpayer?
Well, I guess that's part of his contract. It has really nothing to do with anything he might have done, although I think he was set up. I still do. I don't care how much blood they find or how much semen they find. This guy was set up. And I don't like, as an American, seeing him get $250,000, but there's really not too much I can do about that.
Well, it's just amazing. They have, what, a $5 million bail and another $1 million. And then the tax.
The man is worth over $1 billion.
Yeah, and he still gets $250,000.
His whole family, the Rothschilds, the Kuhns, the Lobes.
I wouldn't pay him.
They're all intermarried.
I wouldn't pay him and then let him sue for his contract. You know.
Yeah, well.
A lousy
the Illuminists take care of each other unless you cross them. And he was lucky he wasn't found hanging from Blackfriars Bridge like Kelvey was. These guys play hardball, whether you're in or you're not.
And we're not going to be in here in just a few seconds. We're going to break, and we'll be right back.
You're still damn good. No one's gotten to you yet. Every time they were sure that you caught, you were quicker than they thought. You just turn your back and walk.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net, around the world and on satellite.
Record budget deficits, bankruptcies galore, and the U.S. dollar is at an all-time low. With today's gloomy economic outlook, safe investments are often hard to find. For over a decade, Melody Cedarstrom at Discount Gold and Silver Trading Company has been helping people secure their future by investing in the precious metals. Melody has the honesty, integrity, and experience that is often lacking in the precious metals business. Let her put it to work for you. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 800-375-4188. That's 800-375-4188.
Hi, Nicholas here. I used to lug those big jugs to the market to fill with water from those coin-operated filter machines, 25 cents a gallon or 5 gallons for $1. I used to. Then I got the big Berkey. Now I save my back and hundreds of dollars too. I was paying $600 for the same 3,000 gallons of water that a pair of black Berkey filters will provide from my own tap for only $99. This means that your Berkey water system will entirely pay for itself with only 1,500 gallons of use. And then you will still have 1,500 gallons left before you need to replace the filters. Do the math. Stop throwing your money away on bottled water and filter dispensers that may or may not be delivering as promised. For a limited time, First Amendment Radio is offering 10% off on the most popular Berkey water systems. Visit the shopping page at FirstAmendmentRadio.com or call us at 559-781-3773 for more information. Leave your name and address and we'll send you this special offer. Do it now. First Amendment Radio is an authorized distributor of Berkey products. The Greatest Prophecy DVD from Cross the Border Productions. Embrace the little-known but greatest prophecy given by the great high priest. The pre-incarnate Messiah reveals God's once secret plan for mankind. Believe it. Behold, the end times in Daniel chapter 2, because
the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof sure.
It is the key to prophecy future. Comprehend the 7-year Great Tribulation deception. Be not deceived. Understand the great prophecy delusion, because
if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect.
be forewarned. America, in prophecy, exposed for all to see. The mark of the beast. No, it's not a biochip. A much better and more secure technology is already here, and you are already using it. 2 copies, one for you and one for you to give away when you send a support donation of $25 to First Amendment Radio. Use the chip-in event on our website or send $25 cash to First Amendment Radio, 139 East Tulare Avenue, Tulare, California, 93274. Make copies and give them away. Send $25 cash for 2 copies of the Greatest Prophecy DVD. That's First Amendment Radio, 139 East Tulare Avenue, Tulare, Tulare, California, 93274. A wise man is forewarned and prepares for the time to come. The Greatest Prophecy DVD.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net, around the world and on satellite.
A gambler share, the only risk that you would take, the only loss you could forsake, the only bluff you couldn't fake. And close that door.
Thank you for joining us this afternoon. You're listening to Financial Survival, brought to you by Discount Gold and Silver Trading. I'm Melody Cedarstrom. 1-800-375-4188 for all your gold and silver coin needs here at Discount Gold and Silver. For your complimentary issue for the International Forecaster, please use our 800 number also. We'll get that information over to Bob. That's 800-375-4188. And Bob, would you like to tell the listeners about the International Forecaster?
Forecasters about business, finance, economic, social, and political issues all over the world. We publish on Wednesdays and Saturdays, usually runs around 40 pages each time. We have a hard copy that goes out twice a month, for those who are not on the Internet. And everything that you need to know each week is in that publication. The way to get a copy is to go to theinternationalforecaster.com. Theinternational, FORECASTER.com. You can also go to www.intforecaster.com. That's inttheforecaster.com. For those of you who would like to ask a question, and we answer everyone, or would like a copy of either, or would like our stock gold and silver share recommendations, you can email me at Bob, B-O-B, at intforecaster.com, Bob at intforecaster.com, or you can call toll-free.
Yes, they can, at 1-800-375-4188. That's 800-375-4188 for your complimentary issue to the International Forecaster. And, of course, for your gold and silver coins, give us a call at 1-800-375-4188. And, again, we have, the lowest cost for your silver, of course, is your 90% silver. Not too much of a delay on those. You're still looking at a little delay on the Silver Eagles, but they're beginning to flow a little bit easier. We've been working really hard.
Try it yourself.
We all know. What?
Go ahead.
Are you talking to me?
No,
Okay.
my boss.
I lost my train of thought when I heard you talking. We're working real hard to get everybody shipped of funds that have been received up until the We're going to try to get you out for payments received by the 24th by the end of this week. So